Hey, are you thinking about franchising your business? You need the real truth. This episode is going to reveal what really drives scale. And that's what we're talking about when you franchise. You're not just growing, you're scaling. I'm going to talk about the economics. I'm going to talk about the structure. I'm going to talk about the pitfalls that most founders never see coming. You're not going to want to miss this episode.
This is the Franchise Pitfalls and Profit Show. Each week, we bring you the challenges and triumphs of being in the franchise development and consulting business. The things you need to make money faster. And now your host, one of the most successful franchise developers in North America, Don Shin.
Hey, welcome back to Franchise Pitfalls and Profits. It's the podcast where we help franchisors, founders, franchise professionals. We help even buyers sometimes. We help them uncover the hidden mistakes that stall growth, that hold people back, and we provide the proven strategies for all of the stakeholders in franchising. These are the things that predict success, again, for all the stakeholders in franchising. So I'm your host, I'm Don Shin, bringing you 25 years of franchising from all of the different chairs, worn all of the different hats, from master franchisee to CEO to consultant. Here we cut through the noise. We get to the truth about what actually works in franchising, in franchise development, in operations, in training, in long-term growth of a brand. And again, what is most optimum for all of the parties, all of the stakeholders in the equation, what everybody needs to know. So, hey, we're in the middle of a series that I've just simply called Scaling Pathways. We're helping company founders choose the smartest way to grow and develop their business without guesswork, without hype, and without pressure. So if you're just joining in, let me go really quickly to episodes 1 and 2. Episode 1, we kind of laid the foundations of why businesses hit these plateaus. Spoiler alert, it's you if you're the owner of the company most of the times. The second foundational piece we talked about in episode 2 were the signs that your business might actually be ready and be built to scale. So today we're going to go deeper. This time I'm going to go into a tried and true model of scaling, and that's franchising. Not only the growth model, but actually a scaling model, a scaling pathway, as the overall series name is titled. It's a pathway that a lot of founders misunderstand more than most any of the other things in business that they've ever dealt with. It seems a lot of times like it's some foreign language to many business owners, and that's okay. You're not alone. So don't feel badly about that. But again, get yourself educated, and that's why you're watching. My goal today is really simple. I'm going to give you the truth. I'm going to make things clearer for you, and I'm going to share my real-world insights so you can decide if franchising belongs on your table. Is it should it be part of your model to scale and not just to grow? So let's start in with a reality check. Most founders misunderstand franchising. A very close friend of mine, he was second generation in his family business, and he shared with me recently, as I was talking about helping people like yourselves who are founders, are thinking about scaling, seeing how you could grow your business better and differently. He shared with me how his father had never looked at franchising before because the reality was he just didn't know anything about it. And he didn't have the time to really look into it. So he just kind of blew by it. But as the torch was being handed down, or was being passed, as they say, the son thought it was really worthwhile checking into. So some think franchising is just kind of this magic thing. Some think it's this risky thing. Some think it means passive income some way. Some people think it's just this way to escape hard work that they've seen or they've experienced in their own business. None of this is true. Franchising is not a shortcut. Franchising is not an escape route. Franchising is not a pressure reliever. Franchising is not a quick way for you to make money as the owner or the founder per se. Franchising is a scaling model. It means multiplying your strengths. It also means multiplying your weaknesses if you don't know where to look and you aren't honest with what they are. So let's break some things down. I'm going to talk about this in the perception or in the perspective of myths. What can you see franchising clearly or not? And this is going to help you decide in the long run, does this belong in your considerations? Does this belong on your radar? So let's get started with the first one that I wanted to talk about today. And these aren't in any specific order. The first myth is franchising is just a faster way to scale. This might be the most common misconception. Well, piece of it is true, but let me explain this. People think, hey, we're winning in our local market. Let's franchise and grow faster. Again, it's true to an extent, but the real truth here is that franchising doesn't multiply your success alone. It multiplies your systems. It multiplies your training. It multiplies your coaching and mentoring of team. It multiplies your processes. It multiplies your consistency, or as I've said earlier, weaknesses and your inconsistency. If your business only works because you, the owner, are the engine, franchising will not fix that. Franchising is not going to multiply in the way that you really want it to. What's going to multiply if you are the center of your business, if you're the engine, what it's going to multiply most likely is chaos. Franchising is not about speed, it's about structure. Well, again, I'll nuance that in just a second, but structure has to come first. Franchising is not about speed first. It's about structure that enables sustainable speed. Speed without structure breaks. Structure without speed stagnates. So in franchising, structure is what creates sustainable speed. So yes, you franchise to speed up your growth, but it's got to be recognized that there's got to be the structure in there as well. Okay, let's move on to the second point I wanted to talk about. Franchising is cheap because someone else pays for the locations. Again, grain of truth. You're not taking on the capital expenses of real estate and build outs, extra equipment, whatever's involved in your business. And as I once heard it stated, you're mostly working with other people's money, and that's very, very true. But that doesn't mean franchising is free. As a franchisor, if you turn your company into a brand, a franchised brand, you still invest, and you invest heavily, just in different ways or just in different places. So it's going to be more in support. It's going to be more in training. It's going to be in technologies. It's going to be in support, field type support. It's going to be in leadership. It's going to be in playbooks, operations manuals, that kind of thing. It's going to be in branding and creating standards for the brand. Franchising shifts your investment from capital expenditures really to operations. When you grow corporately, so to speak, you spend money on buildings, equipment, things that help you open a new location. But when you franchise, you're spending money on all of these other places that I just mentioned, systems, and that structure that I talked about instead of the capital expenditures. So it isn't necessarily going to be cheaper like the myth. The investment just shifts, and it shifts really more into people things rather than into the physical assets. When you stop opening new locations for yourself, again, that's the capital expenditure side, you must support your franchisees operations side. So if you go the franchise route or the franchise option, you are no longer paying for these build outs. But you're paying for that people infrastructure and systems and team that's going to be required to help your franchisees succeed. It's not necessarily cheaper. In fact, sometimes it could be more expensive, but the point is it's just different. And you have to think differently. Your responsibility for in franchising is different. It removes kind of your day-to-day operational performance and outcome driven things, but it actually increases other types of responsibility for the overall brand and the people. I mean, when a franchisee buys a franchise, they're making an investment, and so you've got a responsibility to help them in their success. All right, another myth. The third one we're talking about is that anybody with money can be a franchisee. This is very dangerous. A franchise sale is not a transaction. It's a partnership. Well, that's the responsible and predictable way to think about it. Franchising has gotten a black eye in the right way, or in a real way, in an honest, fair way, because a lot of people who have franchised have just treated it like a transaction. So yeah, they would sell to anybody that had the money. But good franchise concepts recruits good franchisees, ones who will be good brand representatives, who will be good brand ambassadors, ones who will expand your brand. The bad ones damage your brands, and I don't mean necessarily just the ones who failed or maybe started, ran it for a while, and quit. I'm talking about the ones who stay. If they're not selected correctly, they're really a constant drain or drag on your overall brand's performance and success. Just because someone can stroke a check does not mean that they should wear your logo. They should represent you. Your first franchisees in particular aren't just buyers. I use this phrase, brand ambassadors. Your initial, say, dozen or so franchisees, you really want them to be fantastic spokespersons for your brand. These are the people that will carry your reputation into new markets. They will shape your culture and be your culture. They will influence how all future candidates judge your brand. They set the tone and the expectations for everyone who comes after them. So they'll do more to shape your brand, that first 10 or 12, than the next 30 or 40 combined will. That's why selecting initially your franchisee should feel less like selling a unit or selling anything. It should feel far more like creating a relationship, choosing long-term partners, people you can trust with your name. That's the way you need to go about it. That's the kind of way that Franchise Building Expert teaches. It's also the way we'll do it with you if you partner with us to help go to market together. Another myth is that franchising can fix a stalled business. No, it cannot. I can count on both hands the number of times I've seen an unprofitable, stalled, cute idea, but unprofitable, stalled business that someone talk them into turning their brand or their concept into a franchise. Franchising does not fix a weak business. In fact, quite the opposite. It actually shines a big spotlight on it and magnifies your problems. Without naming names, I have seen people, weak models, they spent, probably just the $40,000 or $50,000 to get the legals, and then they try to wing it from there. Or they've full blown gone the full six figures, outsource strategies and marketing. They go to market, they sell a couple of franchises here or there to friends, to customers who said, wow, you should franchise that. I'd love to be your first franchisee. And in 18 to 24 months, because of a weak and failed concept, everything falls apart, everything folds. The franchisees lose their money, as well as the franchisor who went to market with a weak concept and went to market on the cheap. So if your model is average, franchising is going to magnify, shine a spotlight on average. If your systems are inconsistent, franchising will magnify those inconsistencies. If your identity, your culture, your leadership, if any of these things are shaky, franchising will put stress on the system. Again, magnifies the weaknesses. Franchising is an accelerator. And so if there are weaknesses, it's going to accelerate those weaknesses. In fact, things are going to pop up and pop out that you maybe didn't even recognize, things you had papered over years ago. So accelerators make things go faster, not better. And this is exactly why before we here at FBE ever will start someone down the path of franchising, we take them through our Are You Franchisable assessment. It is a franchise readiness and predictable scorecard. And you want to pay attention to this, because I'm going to share a way for you to find out more about this. We're going to be running a webinar about this after our series of episodes. The webinar is going to pull it all together. But again, we're not here to sell anybody a franchise. We're not here to push any models. What this assessment does is truly answer the crucial question before you spend tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars. You want to know, is your business actually ready to scale through others, meaning through franchising? Because the worst thing you can do as a founder is to try to franchise too early. That's so much of what I've been saying. Or you try to franchise for the wrong reasons. You spend tens of thousands, maybe even more, and you're not ready. We don't do that here at FBE. And that's what our assessment talks about. And we're going to talk more about all of this at our webinar coming up here on December 4th. All right. We want all stakeholders, all parties in a transaction to be successful. And that starts before you ever become a franchise. And so we want to certify you as franchisable. We want you to find the weaknesses or the things that even maybe just need tweaked or fixed a little bit to be a franchise. We want you to find all of those things before the rubber hits the road, before you sell that first franchise and you suddenly start to find these things out down the road. It's just overall going to make it so much easier to get your franchise started, to find your first franchisees, and everybody's going to be more successful quicker when you start with our scorecard assessment. So anyway, every responsible franchise brand should go through this step before choosing a franchise. If you're a franchise concept now, but you really haven't gotten to market well or yet, we can take you through this same assessment. It's going to find out why. It's going to help you recognize and fix what's been holding your concept back. Overall, this assessment saves you time, it saves you money, it saves you tons of heartache. It just gives you, as a founder of an existing one that's not quite launched, or you haven't gotten there yet and you want to consider franchising, it just gives you clarity rather than what I have seen as the real pressure that comes down on franchise owners, founders, and any of their first franchisees that they sell when they're really not prepared. They haven't thought it completely out before they went to market. So let's talk money. The part of most episodes that we skip over. Franchising can outperform your corporate expansion. When your unit economics are strong, your model is simple and repeatable. When your support for franchisees is exceptional, and when your leadership scales with the brand. When these things are true, your franchise owners ultimately expand faster. They buy second units from you. Everybody's capital is efficiently grown. Revenues are more predictable. That's why we call this not only a readiness assessment and scorecard, but we call it a predictability scorecard. Your royalty streams as the franchisor are recurring and they're solid. Your brand overall impression and perception in the market, your footprint, it's stronger. And your overall value of your brand for potential capitalization by angel money or private equity, or if you want to sell it someday. Your value overall, if you're doing these things well, as we're talking about it, then your value of what you've built is much higher. So again, let me just be really, really clear. If your unit economics are weak, nothing else really matters. So your brand could sound fantastic. Your story could be great. Your marketing might be great, but overall, if your model, your concept for the units themselves is weak, nothing else really matters. That math must work. And emotions don't scale, economics scale. And so please, please, please be sure that your model is profitable ultimately, because when you add, the fees on that you're going to add to also make money and cover costs as the franchisor, when those are added on, again, people have to be able to make money. Franchises work when the model's simple and teachable, margins that just got done saying the ops manual, the playbook in essence is clear, and you have a supporting coaching mindset. And when you're willing to slow down and focus on those initial units and not speed up and try to sell beyond what your structure can support, this is when franchising really, really works. Founders often forget the part that they're no longer running a business, you're running a brand. Let me say that one again. If you get nothing else from today but this particular point, if you're thinking about franchising, you go down that road, you are no longer running a business, you're really running a brand. You move from operator to leader, to visionary. You move from doer to teaching and supporting, mentoring. You move from running locations that you might have put out there to equipping people to do that in bigger, better ways than you can do from afar. That transition trips up most founders. And then they wonder why their brand isn't booming. It's because they're trying to be the operator. They're trying to be the doer. They're actually, in some cases, doing too much for the franchisees, and they're trying to operate those units that are out there. Again, they're doing all the things they always did, which was run the business, instead of transitioning to running the brand. And that's often why their brand is not booming. That's often why, part of why they can't sell more than a couple of franchises here or there. Franchising fails in most brands because of weak unit economics, poor leadership. The support structures just aren't there. We have a program called Franchise Foundations of Success that we work with the forward-thinking franchisors. It fills the gaps for their franchisees that they can't do because they're technically focused on their systems being operated well. They're not thinking about the gaps that many people bring as good franchise owners. Sometimes some franchisors or franchising fails if people just sell and bring the match or bring the wrong franchisees in. Selling in essence rather than awarding franchises. This is when franchising fails. But none of these things are mysteries. These are things that are identifiable. These are things that, again, our assessment, our profile and scoring tool can help with. And it's exactly why we want to do that assessment first. There aren't mysteries here. Everything is predictable. Everything is identifiable. And when it's preventable and first identified, it is preventable and it can be fixed or it can be done right at the beginning. Our founder readiness test is about your business working without you. It's about systems that are simple and easily trained and repeatable. It's about, again, coaching, mentoring, supporting as opposed to doing it. It's about embracing accountability, being able to project that accountability to your franchise owners. And it's about a willingness to support before the growth is too big. All right, so franchising will outperform your corporate or your own company growth if it's done right, and it will ultimately deliver speed. It will ultimately deliver dominance in your market. It will ultimately deliver recurring revenue, really consistent revenue. It will give you better leverage as a brand. It will give you, as the founder, freedom from all of the running of the business and the operating to the more fun things of leadership and overseeing and strategy. And again, it will overall produce tremendous enterprise value for you as the founder or the owner of the business. Again, only when those things are done right. So, what's crucial is that this series that we're in and the webinar is going to pull it all together. It's not about convincing you to use franchising as your way to scale. What it's going to do is help you choose the right growth strategy for you. That's what this episode series is all about. That's what the webinar is going to ultimately pull it all together in that fashion. There are other pathways, licensing. You can continue to corporately expand. You might want to do some partnerships. You might have joint ventures. You might want to competitors. There's a whole lot of different ways to scale, but we're emphasizing franchising because it's one of the ones that most people are least knowledgeable about. So your job's not to really, in the end, choose the fastest path. Your job is to choose the right choice, make the right choice, choose the right path for you, for where you want to go, who you are, and what you want to do. And again, that's what the entire series is all about: clarity, giving you confidence, and giving you alignment with the right path. So if this resonates with you, don't stop here. Listen to the 4th episode. Let me put the, turn that one off. Let me put this back up for you. Register for the register for the webinar, which is going to pull this all together. Sorry about this, but I want to go back and forth and be sure you're able to see the registration link. Episode 4 is next week. It's going to be about scaling through others, how to build leaders, not just locations. And this is going to help you really understand how to scale through people as opposed to the capital expenditure. So we're going to talk more about franchisees and employees and franchise partners and so on. So again, December webinar, it's up on the screen. If you want the deeper clarity, really pull all of these episodes together. I'm going to be producing a webinar where I'm going to compare franchising, licensing, corporate expansion, and partnerships. I'm going to compare them side by side, pull all of these episodes together to help you determine which path aligns most with your goals, with your model, and your vision for the future. It's going to be no hype, no pressure, just the truth about these different models and why you could choose one over another. But you must register. So grab your phones right now as I wrap up. Take a snapshot of this so you can go in and register for this webinar. So I appreciate you joining me. One more episode here, episode 4. And again, if you're getting value from all of my episodes, all of my podcasts, become a subscriber, post some comments, questions. And again, if you have any questions about working with us, this is how to reach out to us. Again, if this is already exciting you and you'd like to look at franchising, go ahead and reach out via our website. Again, on the franchisebuildingexpert.com, contact us section. So as I always like to close, I simply want to say that my heart is behind everything I do. Franchising to me is not just about systems. It's not just about signing a contract. To me, it is all about the people. It's about the people on all sides of the franchise agreement signature, the franchisee, his or her family, the families, the individuals and the families they employ, and overall the communities. And the futures of all of these people. So my mission is to focus on getting them in the right place and equipping them with the right foundation so that they don't just build a business for monetary purposes. They really build communities and legacies. And ultimately, my drive is my multi-generational passion. I want to help impact my grandchildren's grandchildren generationally, and I do this all for the glory of God. I give God always the glory. Thanks for joining. Come back for episode 4, or as I said, register for the webinar that we're coming up here on December 4th. Thanks.